black, black, black. Black on black, black. Yeah.
Okay, what's going on, everybody? What is up, everybody? Good Sunday morning to you. Good week to everybody. What's going on? Another episode of the A-League show, and of course, all of us are up in here. Shad, Jeremy, Eric, and of course, your boy Keem. What's going on, everyone?
Yes, sir. Good morning. Happy Sunday.
Absolutely. And it's been it's definitely been a lot. Like even just this year altogether. I mean, so much has happened, and it's just been one of those issues I've been thinking about it. Like it's almost June. Like it's almost half the year. Like 2020. Even with everything happening, it's really gone by. It's really going by fast, and so it's definitely been a lot. And but it is what it is. As I was saying earlier, we just trying to obtain and maintain, and also we on a brand new channel too. So so that's definitely huge, really, for all of us. Like we've been doing this for a pretty good bit of time, like ever since 2016. And for those that haven't really followed us all that much, we've interviewed some pretty interesting people. We've had our ups and our downs, but you know what? Look at us. We here, and we are here to stay.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Absolutely.
Well said, King. Well said.
I try. I try.
Make up into it.
As I say to everybody, that I come in contact with, I try, but it is absolutely what it is. But yeah, we're gonna get this thing started the right way. So there's this whole issue, this Mac deal that Shad was telling us about the other day. So I just wanted to get your thoughts, everybody's thoughts on that, and how's everybody feeling on it?
Yeah, man. So with Mac, he decided to go to Texas Tech. Texas Tech is a pretty open backcourt now. Both their leading scorers are gone. One went to the NBA, Jamias Ramsey, the freshman, and then the other one, David, rising senior. He decided to go overseas. So it's an open backcourt. They have Burnett coming in, Namari Burnett from Prolific Prep, Jalen Green's teammate. So it's kind of like free reign, that's kind of what Mac wanted, or at least what I kind of saw from afar. He just kind of wanted to go to a program where he could be himself, and he could kind of, have the ball in his hands and have a chance to score and, do all of those things and stuff like that. So I think Texas Tech will be a great opportunity for him, and especially with Namari, to have a freshman like that, 5-star kid with him. That was obviously kind of an option. Was he going to do that at Auburn with Reef? Tia's little brother, but it seemed like a good choice.
No, absolutely. I like it. It kind of was like had to rank him on his last 7. It was Texas Tech was definitely in the middle of what I had him going to. Wake Forest and Memphis, and I had a few others. I thought even USC. I don't know, but he would actually choose just for he can get like shots. I think Mac's biggest thing was like, where can I go, as opposed to Georgetown, where I think people were misled because they thought that since he was the team's leading scorer, that he had the most shots, which wasn't really the case. It was honestly more so a system type of thing. I think he felt a little bit restricted at Georgetown with Patrick Ewing. So saying that, I was like, all right, where could this kid go? Texas Tech, I never saw that, because you look at Texas Tech, like the last couple of years or whatnot, like the way their teams are built, like Mac's like a smaller guard compared to what they usually have, and they're like real defensive oriented. So I didn't think he would go there, just for the simple fact that it might not be a good fit. But like Rashad said, like the incoming class, like they're trying to install a little bit more like offense. Like you got Namari Burnett and a couple other guys, you got Michael PV coming in too. So you got other kids coming in that are like offensive oriented. So it makes sense actually why he's going there. But Texas Tech definitely wasn't on the top of where I thought he was going to go. But he has a really interesting year coming up with them. Hopefully he can get the NCAA pass to be able to play next season, right? Obviously that's like a whole process. But I think for Mac, it was about getting shots. And another thing interesting about it was just like how Georgetown ended. Because that was reading up about it and how he kind of felt disrespected by Patrick Ewing and whatnot. It was real interesting seeing how that all went down. I think him and his camp were pretty tight-lipped about some things that, like, specifically what happened that made him want to leave. But that relationship wasn't. It ended really sour, and I think he feels like Patrick Ewing might have like hurt his NBA draft stock in a way by him saying that Mac is going to come back to Georgetown and all those kind of things. So with all that, it was like Mac was like these last 2 months for him have been pretty crazy if you think about it. So going from being an NBA draft to out of it, now finding a new school that works, that he can actually feel like he can spread his wings a little bit. But Texas Tech is going to be pretty interesting to see him at.
I don't know. I think it was a good fit. I mean, I think I like what all of you guys are saying, and him playing in that Big 12, and we know what how they play out there. The Big 12 isn't. It's not the college football version. They actually, they have some good basketball teams in the Big 12, and I'm interested to see how he would fit. I thought the fit was a little weird. Like Eric was saying, they're usually built around those big guards, and Mac's not a big guard, but this could be his opportunity, similar to what Buddy Hield did with Oklahoma. They've lacked a little bit of that offensive punch at Texas Tech. That's probably why they were so defensive and, played so much, they focus so much on the defensive end. I mean, it's easy to say I value defense when you can't score. So even when Jared Culver, even when he was there, I never really took him as a scorer. Even though he scored a lot, he took a lot of shots. I think Mac will have a role similar to that. And I'm interested to see what he does. I could see him having a year like Buddy had in his senior year at Oklahoma if they allow him to get the shots, because he's that talented and he's that gifted on the offensive end. So, I really hate this. I cringe at this whole process just because it's college sports and this is the equivalent of a free agent moving teams. But I really feel like it's a better fit for him, and I think as a kid that's going to want to win. I mean, I think Texas Tech's in a better place than Georgetown is under Patrick Ewing. So, yeah.
I wonder if he. Another thing was where did he hear his stock would be? Before as the draft process went along, and then what made him think that Texas Tech would be the team that could help him improve his draft stock? Because at the end of the day, that's all it is. It's like, where can I go that can bump me up to at least like an early second round or possibly late first round? Because I think if for Mac, I think personally he's probably a mid second round, if that. And this is like speaking optimistically, but like that's his range at the moment. But like you said, we've seen guys improve their stock in a matter of months, right? It just doesn't take. I mean, a matter of a season, you can improve your draft stock. Like people forget Kemba Walker was literally that. Kemba Walker, when he got a season before his freshman sophomore year, is kind of like whatever. Where's Kemba gonna go? Junior year, we see what he did, and then now he ended up being like one of the top lottery picks, whatever. So it's possible that he can have a Kemba Walker type of impact as far as like what he can do for himself and what he can do for in a program like that. But yeah, I just wonder where exactly the draft stock was and what he heard, because obviously he heard something he didn't like, so he pulled out. So yeah.
Here, you beat me to it. I was going to compare it to the Kemba Walker situation, because Kemba was he had a lot of following as a high school player as well. And, his first couple of years, he was just good. He was okay. But, that last year is when he really jumped in his stock. And, I could see Mac doing that. Like I said, you got to be in a position where you can play winning basketball late in March to get these eyes on you. So Texas Tech is in a better place than Georgetown. Same thing with Buddy Hield. Buddy Hield went into his last year, fringe guy that may have not gotten drafted to be in a top 5 or top 6 pick. So, Mac, maybe that's what he's thinking. And, other programs that I really saw him considering, that's the only one of the programs that, I could see playing, Elite 8 Final Four type basketball over the next couple of years. I mean, Texas Tech was in the national championship game, 2 years ago now? So when's the last time? And the last point is, when's the last time Georgetown had a player drafted? I mean, I can't really think of. Maybe Hollis Thompson. That was maybe 2012, 2010, maybe in that area somewhere.
Otto Porter.
Yeah, it is Otto.
But yeah, but as far as Texas Tech goes, I forgot what we were talking about. Auburn was in the top 7. Auburn's going to be a team that's going to be in that Elite 8 Final Four the next couple of years and stuff like that. Bruce Pearl's built a really good program over there. That's what I was thinking about yesterday. I was watching Kira Lewis yesterday, and I was thinking about how Alabama fired Avery Johnson, and it's like he made you guys relevant in basketball, and then but you look at how Auburn's built that program, and the in-state rivalry, and how the SEC does when they kind of like one coach they got to do another and stuff like that. But yeah, it'll definitely be just interesting to see what Matt can do at Texas Tech and playing late. And I'm also interested in what the draft scout said because, I think he signed with an agency, right, Eric? He signed with an agency. The agency, the agency said, hey, don't listen to the reports that he withdrew his name from the draft.
Yeah.
We've talked to multiple scouts, and they said they're impressed with his motor, his play, and his skill, and blah, blah, blah. Me personally, I'm just off top, just surprised how well Mac has done in college, just at his size and everything, how well he's adjusted his game. Looking at, I think it was that Allen Iverson All-American game because he didn't get invites to the other All-American games. And he really just kind of looked very normal. You know what I'm saying? Even his senior year and some of those regional games and state playoff games, he looked normal compared to his regular season games where they're just playing kids up the road and country, middle of the road, West Virginia and stuff like that, where he was doing whatever the heck, stuff that nobody's ever seen on a basketball court from someone his size before. So I'm just surprised how well he's adjusted and how far he's gotten. So I think, like you guys said, the sky's the limit for him, and I definitely look forward to this next season, especially if we can have it with fans and stuff.
Yeah, definitely. That was one of those. That was something that I was thinking about a lot too, because Texas Tech is one of those programs that isn't necessarily like on the radar as much as say a Duke or a Kentucky or even a Louisville or a Carolina, but they were one of those programs that had always struck me as always sort of being there. But when they broke out a couple of years ago and actually got to the national championship game, I think that was, because you think of basketball programs, you think of, obviously Texas A&M, but Texas for the most part is, as we all know, is a football state. So to see the ascent of that program and really the out of nowhere ascent, it really speaks volumes as far as that program. And also something that really struck me is the fact that he was having, that Mac was having all of these issues, with Patrick Ewing while he was at Georgetown. Georgetown, if I remember correctly, Georgetown used to be a perennial, consistent national power at college basketball in a part of the country in the DMV area, Washington, D.C. area, that for the most part is pretty good in terms of college basketball, and not just only with the men, but also with the women as well. So just seeing what they're trying to do with the Georgetown program is definitely been interesting to watch. But sometimes we sort of forget Georgetown used to be one of those programs that was in the national championship picture year in and year out. So to see how to see that Mac has basically said, you know what, I'm having issues here at Georgetown and I want to transfer to Texas Tech. It really is emblematic, in my opinion, of just where those two programs have gone.
Tough month for Pat Ewing, man.
Yeah,
Tough month. They played the
I
last
believe
man
he lost.
and
Yeah.
Or you say he lost what before you get serious?
No, I was gonna say.
to...
He's lost like another player or so.
Yeah.
So it's like
Yeah.
that whole program's, bro, is like in shambles, right? I don't know what's going
Yeah.
on at Georgetown. Like,
The leading
yeah.
leading scorer, James Akamu, got kicked off the team in the middle of the year and stuff. And
Yeah, bro.
like you said, they lost another player, and then they lost the most famous player, and then he gets COVID, and Scottie Pippen dunks on him in the Last Dance documentary. They show that 5 times in the first episode.
On the loop. Yeah.
It's just a bad month for Pat Ewing.
Mm-hmm.
But shout out Pat Ewing Jr., Marietta legend.
Yo, I used to see his son all the time at what's his name, at Colony Square down in Midtown. I saw his son there getting lunch all the time. The one that coached Georgetown. Remember the not the son, but what's the Pat Thompson's son? Thompson Jr. Well, he used to be the coach.
John Thompson the
John
third.
Thompson the third.
John Thompson Jr. Yeah,
That's when King was talking
face.
about Georgetown's rich history. That was 2007 when them Jokers was in the Final Four in Atlanta against Florida. Roy Hibbert and them.
Yeah, it was.
That was
They
the
have a good
last
team,
great
man.
Georgetown team.
They
That was
did.
the last great Georgetown team.
Mm-hmm.
And as they say, winning cures all ills. So if they were winning, they wouldn't have this problem right now.
Yep. Facts.
It's that simple. It's just that simple. And that's also an interesting point you made about Kemba Walker, because that, as far as programs are concerned, he came up through the college system, and at the time he was, on a UConn team that was okay, but UConn is another one of those programs that we have seen that has, tried to tread water, but they're going through some similar issues as what has been going on with Georgetown. Now, of course, as me being, a close, obviously, watcher of the women's game, of course, they're still good at that with Gina Oriema. But as far as on the men's side is concerned, UConn and Georgetown have been somewhat on similar trajectories where they've taken some significant falls from grace from their glory years.
Syracuse too.
Yeah, it's not. I don't even think it's just UConn. I think it's the whole Big East of what that former Big East used to be. I mean, I remember watching those games. That tournament was a week before all of the other tournaments, so we got to see, and it was in Madison Square Garden. So we got to see Syracuse, UConn, Villanova, I believe, was in that. Marquette.
Jerry McNamara.
Yeah, man, that was those were some of the best basketball games that I've seen came from that tournament with those teams in it. And you just look at that conference, or what used to be that conference as a whole. Like, all of them are struggling outside of Villanova, who was, they were kind of middle of the road when this was going on, even though they had a lot of talent. They had Randy Foye, Kyle Lowry, and there's another point guard they had. They had like 3 guards back to back that were really good, and they were all in that mix, but they just couldn't beat these teams. And to see that conference kind of going through that it's kind of taking the whole product of college basketball and taking it a step back, because now, like, we're not finding a replacement for it. I mean, the Big 12 is good and it's fun to watch, but I mean, the SEC is not great. I mean, the ACC has its moments, but it's not deep as people want to make it out to be. As deep as people want to make it out to be, especially when North Carolina's not good. So,
yeah, they've been hurt. They've been hurt by Big East too. Got hurt by, like, from what I remember reading, it's just like some of the TV deals and the revenue splitting amongst it. Like, it's not really that even. So that's why another thing is like visibility. Like, bro, like Miles Powell is like one of the best players in the country, like college players in the country, and you barely get to see him, like, ever, if at all. Big East games, the way they rarely are televised, right? So it's also like that's an issue. Once they did once they moved around and some teams left and whoever stayed, it's just been like they've struggled a lot with just visibility. Like, it's weird. Like, you just don't, before Big East, like a Big East game is on between Georgetown, Syracuse, whoever it is, it's like everybody's watching. It's just like ACC, but not anymore. It's like, it's just tough to even watch the games. Like, Mac was hooping. Like we said earlier, we mentioned Mac was hooping with 15, 16 points a game, whatever. He's probably one of the most exciting players in their conference, including Miles Powell and Marcus Howard. But, like, you didn't really know it. You know what I mean? You barely really saw it unless it was like a highlight or if it was a dunk. But outside of that, people weren't really tuning in. Like, regardless, the ACC, it don't matter how trash, they're going to make sure you're watching their games. Like, it does not matter. Duke, North Carolina, if they're on the road playing against another whatever out of conference, it doesn't matter. Like their visibility is a lot more just like powerful, so that you're not gonna miss out on that. But Big East has been, yeah, it's weird. It doesn't feel the same as it was once before, but yeah.
That is so true. I mean, that is it's just really the overall trajectory. That's like, as I was saying before, like this is, as far as I'm concerned, it really is just emblematic really of the overall trajectory of just really college basketball in more, in more ways than one. Absolutely. And it's interesting.
And that's why Mac,
Yeah.
Russ, I'm sorry, but that's why Mac Party left. I mean, no, I'm not mad at him. Yeah.
I'm not mad at them at all. I'm not upset at any college basketball player that decides to transfer, because like you said, it's one of those things where it's just like free agency in a sense, in the pros. So I have absolutely no problems with any college basketball player that has that wants to transfer to get more minutes or whatever. I totally see where they're coming from.
I mean, I like I said, I cringe when it comes to movement as far as college sports and high school sports, because it's not supposed to. That's why I tell I prefer athletes take their time to make their decision out of high school, so that you can think 3-4 years down the line, instead of thinking like, I'm gonna try to get to this program, catch their wave while they're hot, and I'm gonna go to the pros and I'm gonna be this star and blah blah blah. And then when that don't happen that first year, then they're like, okay, well now it's the program's fault that I'm not successful. No, stay there, develop your game, your time will come. Sometimes it doesn't. But going somewhere else, now you're behind the curve of the guys already there. Now you're trying to learn stuff that you haven't been exposed to for 2 or 3 years. And now you're having to change your game to fit in. So, now you got a whole different set of problems. And now because your name's known, people know who you are, so they expect you to come in and perform. Okay, you're Mac McClung. You were this star that was on all these social media. We saw your dunks. We saw how great you were. Then you went to the Big East and you did your thing. Now you're supposed to come here and you're supposed to be the star of the team. What if he's just not good enough to do that? I mean, now you're exposing yourself to a whole different set of expectations that you didn't really have to have. That's why the high school college choice process needs to be thought out longer and harder. And it needs, I think I would even be okay giving these kids a little more time to think about by moving signing day back a little bit. So, I mean, like I said, I don't want free agency in college sports. So,
well, speaking of free agency, then you got a free agent, Yeah, you got a free agent. I want to, so UGA. Yeah, whatever, man. I got my cup too. UGA got a transfer a couple of days ago, as if y'all don't already have 10 quarterbacks. So where the hell y'all got? I mean, JT Daniels. I mean, I'm just saying, Jeremy, can you talk about this transfer? Here y'all go with no quarterback transfers and all this. What y'all doing over there with this quarterback? JT Daniels, USC quarterback.
Man, listen. I was how do I say this? I was surprised that Georgia even wanted another quarterback, to be honest. But Daniels has been injured. I think he also has, I want to say he has 2 more years, depending, he may not be eligible to play this year. So It makes sense in the sense that now that Georgia has somebody to take over for Newman once he graduates and moves on to the NFL. But I'm also confused just because it's not like Georgia's not been recruiting quarterbacks. You got Carson Beck coming in this year, 4-star guy who I really think can play. Dwayne Mathis, 4-star guy from 2 years ago, who I really think can play. And then you have a 5-star coming in, Brock Vandegrift, who also I think can play. So it kind of gives me worry that Georgia doesn't think that they can develop, the coaching staff doesn't think that they can develop quarterbacks. We obviously know what happened with Justin Fields and Jake Fromm. I mean, that whole situation, you know how I feel about that. But, Jake definitely he regressed as a player last year, but I don't think it was all his fault simply because the receivers were just, they were just guys. So, I mean, they lost their top they lost their top 3 or 4 receivers from the year before. Holloway was kicked off the team. Nada went to the draft a year early. Mecole Hardman went to the draft a year early. And then Terry Godwin graduated. So, Calvin Ridley, that's what I'm thinking of. Calvin Ridley went to the NFL a year earlier than he was expected to as well. So, I mean, when you put a product out there like that, these guys that were playing last year were supposed to wait a year before they had to play. Now, George Pickens is a monster. So, but I say all that to say that, like I said with the basketball topic, I cringe when I see stuff like this because we're talking about free agency in college football and college sports. And even though it's my team, the team I grew up watching, even though, I love Georgia, but seeing them adding guys from other programs, just develop your own guys. That's why you're recruiting, and it's going to hurt you in the long run because you can't keep this up, getting the top guys from other schools to keep coming there. And that model just runs out eventually. So you have to have your own talented guys to develop, for the long haul. So
tell Georgia State basketball that.
I was going to say, what do you think Brock thinks it is? That was going to be my first question.
I don't know.
I'm just curious. Yeah.
As a 5-star guy that's, was expecting to compete for the job, I don't think that's going to change. I mean, I think Daniels has a year and a game of playing experience at USC. I mean, he, people kind of were expecting him to, if he had played out last year and played this year, he would have been a guy that would have been in conversations to be a first-round pick this year. So he's very gifted and very talented, but, Carson Beck's very talented and gifted, and so is Brock. So who knows? I mean, I think they'll all get the chance to compete for the spot. It'll be a 4-way battle, and, I think the best player will play. I don't really think class will matter. And, if you're really looking at it, I can't say that Beck or Vandegrift are any less talented than Daniels. Daniels just has 2 years of age on him. For a team like Georgia that's trying to compete for a championship every year, that age may be where you should lean that first year. You know what I mean? Just to give those other guys some time to get in and learn the system and develop physically. So this really just, I really just think that's what the move was, the intent was. So, I mean, I don't think there's anything wrong with developing. I mean, if you look around college football, most of the guys that are stars, sat for a while. I mean, either they sat in college or they sat when they got to the pros. So there's nothing wrong with sitting for a year or two to learn, especially when you're winning. I mean, that you can't buy that experience. So.
Because we see that at every level of the sport, like you said, Jeremy. We pretty much see that, and not just football or basketball, but we see that a lot in other sports too. And that is an interesting point also that you made about guys that that will go to these programs, because I think that what the recruiting process with a lot of these young talented athletes that decide, okay, which school am I going to go to, and it really is for a lot of guys thinking like, where am I going to get the most playing time, but also where am I going to get the most exposure? I do think, though, that the mistake that a lot of guys make is they think that, if they go to a marquee program such as an Alabama or a Georgia or a Clemson, they're probably thinking like, oh, wow, those programs typically are the programs that will get me into the NFL. But we have seen time and time again. In fact, we was talking about this a little bit leading up to the draft, that a lot of times it's the unknown players that people aren't necessarily having on their radar when it's draft time. Usually, not only are those the players that get to the NFL, but those are sometimes the players that end up being key pieces on competing teams when it comes to Super Bowls. It really is all about a fit, because sometimes you may have like a really, really talented linebacker, or a really talented wide receiver that may not necessarily be a good fit at a Georgia or a Clemson, but may be a better fit at a program like a, say, like a Texas A&M, or maybe even an Oregon, or maybe even a lesser known program like, say, maybe a Rutgers or even a Georgia State. So it really all depends on, just the fit it is. And I think that, like you said, when it comes to where these guys want to go ahead and they want to sign, or where they want to, commit to, I think that that's something that, it goes through a lot of players' minds. But I do think that there are some that sort of make the mistake of just going to these marquee programs and, instead of thinking like, okay, where am I going to get the most playing time? Because sometimes it can be a long-term thing where they'll think, okay, maybe I may not necessarily get, maybe I won't necessarily be playing, in front of national TV every Saturday, but at the same time, I'll be able to build my profile over a period of time, and that may actually increase my draft stock.
I want to add to your point too. First of all, the sitting is not or anything. There's nothing wrong with that. If you look at, I thought of some names. Deshaun Watson did not start his freshman year. Tua Tagovailoa did not start his freshman year. Cam Newton did not start his first 2 years in college. So, this whole college, I'm going to call it college free agency because that's what it is. Joe Burrow did not start his first 3 years in college, or 2 years in college. 3 years. Yeah, 3 years at Ohio State. But if you think about it, Georgia wouldn't need this if this wasn't a reality of what college sports has become, because Justin Fields came to Georgia feeling like he was going to beat out Jake Fromm. That didn't happen. So now he's in Ohio State, whereas I think last year, I feel like if you play it back and Fields is still there, I think he beats Jake Fromm out last year. He improved as a player in that offseason. So, when these kids make these decisions, I really wish they would think about, okay, usually if you think about it as I'm going to go in there and compete, I don't care where I'm at on the depth chart, that usually takes care of itself. If you worry about yourself, control what you're doing, invest in improving your abilities, usually you just work your way up the depth chart just because that's what happens. Look at Baker Mayfield at Texas Tech. Walks on, probably could have played anywhere he walked on at Texas Tech and worked his way, and guys got hurt. He worked his way into the lineup, started. Some things happen. He goes to Oklahoma, does the same thing, finds himself starting, was a Heisman Trophy, number 1 pick, now he's in the NFL. So working hard, you should make the decision based off, where am I going to develop as a person and as a player the best, and what fits for me and my family and what fits for my personality. Like, those should be the questions you're asking yourself. If you're the number 1 recruit in America and the best fit for you is Tennessee Tech, go there. Like, if you can play, these pro scouts will find you. Look at some of the greatest athletes in all of sports. They play at schools that I don't even know where a lot of them are. Where did Jerry Rice play college football? Mississippi Valley State. I don't even know if that school exists right now.
It does.
It's one of the greatest receivers ever to play. So,
we're Lutz.
My only thing is but only pushing back is time. There's just as you gave those examples, there's a lot of kids who probably should have left, who were given a pipe dream or a promise by coaches that their time will come, and it never came. And even though, Jeremy, we've had the discussion, and I was like, I remember asking, I was like, why the hell did DJ Shockley stay all 4 years at UGA? He was one of the first examples I remember growing, because we love our college football. And I was like, why the hell is this dude still here? Why is he still at UGA? Why is he waiting behind? I'm forgetting the quarterback's name. I'm sure
David
you know
Green.
it.
David Green.
He was saying about David Green waiting. And I was like, obviously, it felt really similar to a little bit of Fromm and Fields, because Fields had all the hype. And Shockley, what I remember with his recruiting was he had a lot of hype at that time, if I'm correct. So I was like, why is this dude waiting this many years to go? And obviously back then the rules are different. He transfers, he got to wait out, all these kind of factors. But I think for some kids, it's if you have to bend the rules too, because you have to bend the rules in your favor too, bro. It's not, your time is very limited. Like you said, Cam, he did it. He waited, but he still did it for 1 year, knocked it out, and went pro. good. I mean, obviously, I'm sure Cam Newton, if he could have, he would have transferred and played like ASAP and like to a school that he could play as soon as possible and show himself, whatever. But like JT coming to y'all, I'm looking at it as a sense that like, well, I mean, is it? I feel I feel pro NCAA by criticizing these kids. I know you're not criticizing the kids, but like just criticizing this type of rule, how they're bending some of the transferring now. I know it's gotten like the last couple of years, it's getting like a lot, right? We've seen like transfer season in college football is crazy, but like, bro, for all the things that college football players or college athletes don't have in their favor, I can't. Are we really going to criticize this thing, this free agency and the movement? Because I know it feels you.
I'll say this though. I'm gonna stop you before I forget what you're saying.
Okay.
I got bad memory, man.
Go ahead, bro.
You know, I agree with you in that, you know, when you should leave, you should leave. But then I also don't like how the NCAA goes about this, because it seems that certain players get better treated. Okay, I'm going to give you an example. Luke Ford, he was a tight end at Georgia his freshman year. He wants to go to Illinois to play in front of his parents or his grandparents, who his grandfather was, you know, he had fallen ill and he wanted to be able to see him play in person. He gets denied his transfer waiver. But Justin Fields and Tate Martell get their waiver approved simply because they weren't good enough to start at their schools that they were at. That's not a good enough reason for me. So if you're gonna do this, make it everyone sits or nobody sits. It needs to be consistent across the board. And to your other point, I'm not criticizing the kids once they get there. I'm criticizing the fact that you believe them when they sell you a pipe dream. They just want you at their school. That's all the coaches there to do. They want you at your school, at their school. And it may be because they feel you're going to be a contributor over the 4 years you're there. When people hear that, they say, okay, well, you're going to be a starter for us. When they hear that, they think, okay, that means I'm going to start day one. I'm going to walk in. I'm going to be the man. No, that means if you develop into what they think you can develop into, one day you will help their program.
That's fair.
But why would you believe them? That's my point. I'm saying you need to, like, these athletes need to start thinking about themselves in this process. Okay, you know, he said I'll be a starter, but that's, you know, it's a sport. So there's always competition. So you should think to yourself, okay, I'm not going to be given anything just because that's how your mentality should be. That's on you for not thinking that way. So when somebody says, hey, you're going to be a starter, I hear you saying that, but I don't believe you. So I'm going to go earn my spot. Or if I don't get it, I'm not going to cry and leave just because you told me that. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's becoming too much of we're babying athletes to not want to be competitive. Whereas when you get to the pro ranks, everybody's good. There's people coming who have not been recruited, and they feel like they're being they're having to fight their way and scratch and survive to make it. And you're crying because this coach told you you were going to start and you didn't. So that's why a lot of these big school guys end up not working out at the pro level. It's because of this entitlement that they feel because, I played at Alabama. We won 3 national championships. I'm a first-round pick. Okay, there's a kid from Limestone College. His mama is living in a van, and he wasn't drafted. He's 6'5", 320 pounds, just like you are, but he hungry. So that's who's going to play.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's a great point. Absolutely. Like I see what you mean for sure, because sometimes coming out of these programs, these smaller, lesser known programs, sometimes, like you said, Jeremy, like, you know, it puts a chip on your shoulder. Like I'm definitely all for athletes, going wherever it is that they wanted to go, because it's one of those things where, sometimes athletes had to do what's best for them, especially when, we've seen so much that has come out about college sports, particularly basketball and football. But I see exactly what your point, like, when you say, if you want to develop into something or develop into, into somebody where you're trying to set yourself up eventually to get to that, to that next level in the pro level, sometimes, like you said, it puts that chip on your shoulder and makes you want it more. Whereas sometimes when you come from these programs, you think like, oh, wow, I played at Alabama. Well, lots of that just because somebody played at Alabama, that doesn't mean as much. I mean, somebody could say, oh, they played in Alabama, but they may have been very low on the depth chart. They just happened to get drafted. So I see exactly what you mean. That's absolutely a great point. Yeah, we've we've talked a lot, definitely for sure. We've definitely for sure talked a lot. Of course, got the what we had to get into as far as the sports discussion. There's still sports stuff to be discussed, even with no sports. But of course, we would be remiss if we didn't, mention, everything else that's been going on, like outside of sports. And there's even been a lot of sports connotations to so much that has happened around the country. I mean, with these, with the protests and the Jaylen Brown, there's so much, going on. Jaylen Brown had a rally in Atlanta. I mean, so many other not just individual sports figures, but also sports teams have definitely taken to social media and even taken to activism and have definitely spoken out as much as they could about everything that's been happening for sure. So so I just wanted to while I'm here just wanted to get everybody's thoughts on just everything that's been that's been going on, because it's all over the news. I mean, not just like news, but sports news even as well.
Go ahead, Shad.
First, what I want to say in regards to Jaylen Brown and them, I just want to say, man, look at the people, the hoopers or whatever, how much they like care about their community. You know what I'm saying? Malcolm Brogdon, JB, of course, drove 15 hours from Boston to Atlanta to hold that march. Lou Will donated $25K to the bomb relief efforts and stuff like that for the protesters. Just look at the people who are from here and how much they love the city, how much they love Atlanta. You look at AEBL. A lot of the guys who are giving now and who are vocal now are the guys who attend the AEBL, events and stuff like that in the summer for free. And you see Paul Millsap, Mike Scott, all these guys coming back who were long gone and traded from the Hawks in the city, but they live here and they stay here for some reason. I think that just says something very special about the community. Killer Mike and all those guys and the mayor and T.I., a lot of people were getting killed for what they were saying just about how fruitful Atlanta is for Black wealth. And they're like, well, a lot of people in Atlanta don't experience that. Atlanta for them is, crime and low income. And you know what I'm saying? So for those people, I would just say like, yes, there are both ends of the spectrum, but I don't think that gives you an excuse to tear down the Black businesses here. That's kind of a whole nother discussion. Either way, I don't want the entire point to be missed in this, because it seems like the people who are against the movement, who are against us, they always find something to nitpick to make them not seem like they're racist. They're not racist. And, I don't know, like with the kneeling, they found something to make them not seem racist, that they found a problem with the kneeling. With the first march, the marches 4 years ago, where they were doing it every year, they tried to find a problem. Oh, well, I'm trying to make it to work. You're blocking my, you know what I'm saying? People are always going to find something to nitpick to not make them seem racist. Just say you're racist. I respect you much more. Because you didn't say anything. You weren't outraged about George. The only time you mention them is when you want to complain about the protests. So it's like, I have a problem with that. I checked a friend about that. You know what I'm saying? I had to check a friend about that yesterday. I'm like, dude, you said nothing about George Floyd and so, Breonna Taylor, Ahmaud Arbery, Sean Reed, all these people in the latest, amount of viral killings and stuff like that. You said nothing about that until you mentioned this. Man, of course, George Floyd, anybody who watched the video with a good conscience knows that that's obvious and so. And I'm like, well, you didn't voice that to me. The only thing you voiced to me is that they smashed your favorite restaurant, the windows out, and you're very upset about that because now you can't go to your favorite restaurant for 2 weeks. Boo hoo, so sad. A family has lost their father forever. This man had a 6-year-old child. She's going to grow up without a daddy. Philandro Castillo, his daughter, watched her father be lynched. She got to grow up without a father. You know what I'm saying? These are actual people. These aren't just hashtags. These aren't just movements and trends that names that we pick up, we march for, we get mad about for 2 weeks, and then we forget about them and go back to our lives and talk about Mac McClung going to Texas Tech. This is real life. You know what I'm saying? So that's kind of like the surface level of it. Also, I wanted to say DB was also at that press conference with the mayor and the other activists, Derek Bozeman. DB is one of my OGs. Guys like DB and Rashard Ritchie, these are guys who dedicate their lives to the cause. Each and every single day they're dedicated to it. They're talking about it. They're working towards solutions to help and improve the Black community and make things easier for me. I can experience that firsthand because Derek Bozeman gave me my first internship. He gave me my first opportunity in the industry. So when, someone who's an activist, 365 days, 24 hours, and not just 7 days, 2 weeks, or 1 month out of every 2 years, when he's saying something like this of like, okay, a lot of these kids, they aren't for the cause. They're just destructing and stealing stuff for the sake of doing it. I'm listening to him because he's really about it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
All these other people, majority of these people aren't about it all the time. They're just about it when it's an end thing. That's why you see when you looked at those protests, what was everybody doing? Everybody had their phones out. Everybody was trying to get something for their Instagram story. Everybody's trying to get something for their Facebook. Everybody's trying, you know what I'm saying? So what are we doing this for? I want you to ask yourself, what am I doing this for? Am I doing this for attention? Am I doing it for the likes? Am I doing it to look like a good person? Or am I doing it to get actual justice? Because at the end of the day, like I was telling King before we started recording, the 4 officers have not been arrested yet. 1 officer has been arrested for manslaughter. That's the equivalent of driving late at night and not seeing someone walking across the road and you hit them. That's manslaughter. Yep. This man had his knee on a man's neck for nearly 9 minutes, nearly 3 minutes after the man was unresponsive, and he knew him. So, I'm going to let y'all go ahead. I'm sorry I let that off.
No, rightfully so. I think it's interesting because so much of us having to process all of this as Black people, and then on top of that, you have people constantly commentating on how we're protesting. I think a lot of people don't understand how tough that is to like endure as we deal with it. Like, this is our lives, right? And when it's our chance to finally speak and show our activism or show our protests and show how we feel and demonstrate how frustrated we are, they choose that time to bring whatever narratives they've always had about Black activism or the way how we live our lives. Where it comes, you realize, I'm sure you guys have peeped it, all of it comes in at one time. It's just funny how out of nowhere people are just getting all these narratives that they've always had about us, and they're kind of just taking shots, or they're using it as a reason to criticize, and this is their platform to do it. So that's why it is so infuriating, because when we do have the center stage, we do have the platform, we do have the moment to take as our own and to make our stand, we have 1,000 other people that feel the need to say something, feel the need to critique protesting, feel the need. There's so many different ways, bro. Like, it's one of those things. I've told people the last couple of days, it's like, I'm not explaining anymore to others or people, non-people of color or non-Black people, I should say. I'm not going to explain to you anymore of like my experiences. I'm not going to discuss with you. We're not going to have a debate. I'm not sitting here to do this back and forth with you. I don't need to teach you anything, because a lot of those folks that have the time to debate and pick apart and bring up Black on Black crime, you have all that time to research all these different kind of things that you want to bring up to oppose us. but you don't have the time to actually understand us. Does that make any sense? Like, you see what I'm saying? Like, we have all this information, we have all this, you have all these resources to like really and to divulge yourself into what it is to be a Black person in America and be a Black person honestly on this world, and you still don't take the time to do that. Not doing that anymore. Like that, those stopped a long time ago. We got to keep doing that because it's not our responsibility, bro. Like the way I look at it right now, it's like we have on top of our daily lives, we have to flip so many different burgers at one time. We have people demanding things from us constantly. We have to juggle so much at one time, and we still are just trying to live peacefully. Like I think nobody on this earth can relate or understand what we go through, and when we do feel the need to band together and make a stand, it's a threat. And that's honestly what it's always going to be. We've seen it. We've seen the coverage. We've seen how the president has talked about us, and we've seen that it's a threat. People are really never grasp the understanding of Black individuals uniting. It is so fearful to them, and it's crazy because you can go back through time and see how many times of our great leaders, Black leaders, activists have said that they're just so fearful of us coming together, the Black Panthers and whatnot, that they'll do whatever it takes to disband that. So this happening again, where it's on us to continue to block out the noise, to continue to stay focused on what the initiative is, what the goal is, because that's what we always do. This is for us. This isn't just a moment. This is literally our daily lives. This is what we live through every single day of the year. And it would be remiss of us to get into these debates or get into this whole back and forth with other people on how we're dealing with this or solutions, because like Jeremy texted the other day and he said in the room, it's like, yo, nobody has any solutions. Everybody just wants to tell us, yeah, your solution is wrong, that your solution is out of bounds, but they don't give us any other type of solutions. And they just want to have an opinion on what we do. So for us, it's continue to, I don't care about none of your opinions. I'm gonna do what I do. If they're gonna protest, they're gonna pan all over CNN Center. They're gonna take Dior, AT&T Center. They want to do all that. Go ahead and do it, dog. Yes, I do not want you guys to vandalize Black businesses. Of course not. But when it comes to these corporations who are backed by politicians who never had our interests at mind, I'm going to be this way for the rest of my life. It's one side. You can't stand in the middle. It's one side. I'm with it all. Like, if we're going to do all this, I'm with it all. Go make our statement, because we get moments like this to show ourselves, because Black people are unheard yearly. I mean, every day, every month, every week, they don't hear us. So this is a moment then let's go, let's make our statement, let's be heard. Because I'm not going to try to hear and tell people, oh, no, wait, no, like, do it this way. No, there's only one way to do these things. I'm sure there were others who were like, when you can go back, because apparently white people are so obsessed with MLK because they love bringing him up. I'll go back to MLK. But I'm sure there were people who were upset with the way that he chose to do some of his marches. Or we know that. There's no perfect way of doing anything. But you can do it your way. You choose to do it. If you feel like it's in the best interest of Black individuals, then do it that way. But that's what I want to get off. It's like, I want people to know, do not care. Do not be mindful of those who are trying to disguise themselves as, trying to understand or know or critique what we do. Don't pay them any mind and do what you do, because this isn't for debate. Like, our Black lives is not for debate. We're not sitting here as a commodity or some kind of like, no, we are living, breathing people. So we're gonna act as that. That's what I'm gonna say on that.
And I don't owe you anything. That's the small thing. I don't owe you. Like,
Nothing.
I saw No Names, like, shout out No Name. I don't think it was No Name. It was No Name or Tierra Whack that tweeted your favorite rappers, their whole careers are based off Black plight. They're quiet. And then, I see all these people like, what coach hasn't said this? This player hasn't said. I don't owe you nothing, bruh. Like, like Eric said, we live this, bruh. Like, I ain't Black for no 2 weeks. When Black is a hot topic, I'm Black every day. We deal with this every day. I don't owe you nothing, bruh. J. Cole don't owe you nothing. Kendrick Lamar don't owe you nothing, bruh. Drake don't owe y'all nothing.
Not looking for it. Don't care about it. I don't, like you said, that don't matter. Ain't gonna change what we focused on, what we trying to do, what we trying to accomplish, bro. It don't matter. Like that is so beside the point. Like, it's not gonna solve anything. It's not gonna, we doing this on our own. We doing this ourselves, bro. But this is us. Like, we don't get to choose. I don't get to take this off. None of it, Shaw, Keem, Jeremy. We don't get to take this skin off and just like, choose to be a couple of days of the week. My dog, every single day we doing it. So that it's been I'm sure all of us, it's been real frustrating because we voicing ourselves, but it's we're making a statement here and we still are not being heard. So it's crazy. Go ahead though. Go ahead, Keem or Jeremy. My bad.
I don't know. I'm 28, and I tweeted this the other day, and I'm just kind of just tired of it. Like eventually, we can get on here, we can talk, and we can say what we want to say, and at some point, it's like people who have issue with the different ways of protest. Somebody told me that you can say and you can state a problem, but it really doesn't mean anything if you don't have a solution to bring to the table. So all these people who have a problem with, how people are protesting, well, where are your solutions? Are you going to listen to them that way? Because we're talking to you. You're the ones that have an issue with the message. Because in reality, you say that the protest is the problem you have, but really what you have a problem with is the message. And that's how I'm going to take it from now on. So, and no, I do not agree with a lot of stuff that's happened. And I don't think it's been portrayed the right way. Like, I feel like some of this violence that has happened hasn't been who we think it is. So, I don't know. I don't really have too many thoughts on it. I mean, I just kind of, we, like you said, we live this every day. At some point we get exhausted of living this way, and you find an issue with everything we do. So, how do you communicate with somebody who doesn't want to listen? And then the fact that Robert O'Brien got on CNN today and said there's no systematic racism in U.S. law enforcement. That tells me you're not listening. So in the same sentence, you're saying, hey, stop doing this and stop blowing up stuff and blah, blah, blah. At the same time, you're saying, well, I still don't hear you. That's all I heard you say. So how else do you need us to say it? So I don't know what else to say about it. I guess it's like you're yelling at the top of your voice, and no one's mad at the fact that there's a bullet hole in your leg. They're mad because you're screaming and they're in the library, and it's more important that they have their peace than your bullet hole in your leg. So until that's fixed, and until the issue becomes something that people actually want to listen to rather than the noise that comes along with people making noise because they're tired, nothing's going to change. Now, as soon as we get people to start listening, then there will be change. I mean, I understand why people are angry because, like you said, we live this every day. We find different ways to come up with ways to communicate. We do this, we march, we kneel, we sing, we dance, and then it happens again, and we start from square one. So, I don't know. Go ahead, King.
Yeah, I see. Absolutely. And like you said, Jeremy, I feel like that a lot of these protests, and definitely for sure, I definitely think that, I saw so many pictures of them, tearing up stuff and everything like that. Like, I think that some of it, was taken way too far. But at the same time, I get exactly why they feel as if they have no choice, because I feel like what we saw in Minneapolis, what we've seen in Atlanta, what we've seen in other places, Houston, New York City, Oakland, really all across the country and really all over the world. I feel like that this is a case of people feeling like they're not being heard. That's why, people have taken this to the extremes that they have taken this, because people are fed up. People are absolutely fed up, and they absolutely feel as if they have no other way to express themselves other than this. And that's really what I have an issue with more so than anything else. It's the same thing that, that you just said, that everybody here just said, Shad, Jeremy, Eric, that it's, people want to say, oh, this isn't the right way to protest. Really? Okay, well, if that's not the right way to protest, what's your solutions? Because we do live this every single day. We absolutely do live this every single day. And I just believe that, that people can go ahead and they can criticize, the protests, all they want and how people are protesting. But this is in more ways than one. Like, people say that this is a culmination of, over, 300, 400 years of systematic racism and oppression. But this is something that us as Black people are living every single day. We're living with this pain every single day. And the thing is, I think that what we also have to, understand is, even with all of this that's going on, and people will try to make us feel, feel upset at ourselves. We still love being Black because we still have Black pride, and we're still absolutely proud of who we are. That's why we do go out there and we do protest and we do express ourselves, because, we love ourselves. We just wish that those out there looking for solutions and want to tell us how to protest, we just wish that they love us as much as we love ourselves. So yeah, those are like my my thoughts on everything. I definitely have a lot other thoughts, as far as everything has been going on with, with these protests. One other thing that I was thinking about, just to kind of close, is it's so amazing that people want to, and we was, sort of talking about this, people want to tell us how to protest, but they was not telling people when there was protesting the stay-at-home orders in response to the coronavirus. They were not, saying anything about those, and a lot of those people had guns on them, like showing off guns. So I just think that that's kind of that's some real hypocrisy going on. But that's just what it is. At this point, it's kind of to be expected in terms of them, just trying to tell Black people how they should protest and how they should cope with their pain.
Yeah, I mean, I'm tired of it, and it's crazy because seeing those protests about the coronavirus, I kind of thought in the back of my head, like, I don't think this would go the other way if this were, what's happening now. And sure enough, I mean, if you think about it, I've seen people saying that it's selfish and it's destructive and it's all this stuff, and I'm like, well, 3 weeks ago, we were talking about people wanting to go out into nail salons and shopping centers, while risking the lives of thousands of other people. I don't know if you know the definition of selfish, but I don't think it falls under, hey, I don't want to be killed in my own house, in my yard, or just in a routine traffic stop. I don't think that constitutes being called selfish. I'm pretty sure wanting to go to the nail salon when you are very capable of doing your own nails at your own house without risking the lives of thousands of people would constitute being called selfish. But this is why people are angry. The fact that people can't see past this racism isn't a debate. Like there's no debate about it. It's like, okay, at some point, when you start trying to debate this stuff, you become the problem. Rather than, I shouldn't have to tell you why something's racist. Like, this should be something you recognize on your own, and you're just like, yeah, I agree with you. How do we fix it? And that should be the end of the conversation. So that's just where I'm at with it. I'm tired of it. Just kind of is what it is.
I was trying to show everybody the definition of, even though it's backwards, the definition of selfish. Even though it's backwards, and I should definitely do something with my camera. But you get the point exactly what I was saying as far as just as far as that's concerned. But yeah, I think everybody's just they're just, tired of being told like how they should react, how they should cope with pain, how they should, handle things, because, they're not us, and shout out to everybody that at the very least has been going on Twitter, and at the very least have been saying, what, certain people that at the very least have been at the very least acknowledging their privilege and acknowledging that they are afforded, pretty much born with certain privileges that, that people of color, especially Black people, don't necessarily have. And at the very least saying, you know what, I want to help. I want to be an ally. I want to, listen to your concerns and hear your concerns and everything. I just don't know necessarily how. At the very least, they're asking. At the very least, they're not taking matters into their own hands and thinking that they know better than we do, because we know ourselves better than anybody else knows ourselves. At the very least, I got to give them, lots of praise and lots of love, because, at the very least, they're listening. At the very least, that there are people out there that actually are listening and are saying that, we hear your concerns, and at the very least, they're willing to come to the table and at the very least listen. It's just these, certain people that we see, whether it's on social media or whether it's on radio or whether it's on TV, that, that just don't get it. And who knows, maybe they never will get it. But as far as I'm concerned, if they don't get it by now, then who knows, they may never get it. But that is entirely what that is, and unfortunately. But yeah, lots of things going on, both of course in the world, and in a lot of other sectors too. I mean, we still sometimes forget, there's still a pandemic going on. So definitely just wanted to say to everybody out there, especially those watching us for the first time, hopefully you're staying safe, washing your hands, keeping everybody's distance, and all that good stuff. Obviously, another episode of the A-League in the books. Of course, the first one in our, on this new channel and everything. I think first time, with this new, with this new channel and everything. I think we did a pretty good job. Pretty good for a first time, but
I think so too, Keith. Yeah,
hey, it's just how we are. It's just how we are. We talented like that. We good like that. It is what it is.
Yes,
so we're about to get on the body here. Let's do our sign-offs, shall we?
Yo,
Mm-hmm.
I gotta go first. Okay, all right, go for it. Eric Ubo _. You know how to switch it up. You know what I mean? Official. You know what I'm saying? Just that's how it is now. Shout out to the boy. Hit me up, LinkedIn. Twitter. You know what I mean? All that. So yeah, it's the boy E.
Man,
Superman.
Hey,
go ahead.
Oh, you going? Okay,
I'm
my
going.
bad. Hey.
Oh no, hey, go ahead. I'm gonna go ahead and go knock mine out so you can close it out.
All right.
Superman since day one. Jeremy _ Clark _ Kent _ 75. That's a Twitter. Give me Superman on. I'll see y'all. Y'all be safe.
RashadMilligan.com. I just want to say, make sure you understand the importance of local journalism and supporting local journalism, because racism isn't going to go away. Racism, it is what it is. Like Black people not going to stop getting killed for no reason. The thing we can change is people getting punished, and the way they get punished for killing Black people. They're not going to get away with it anymore. The way to change that is to vote at your local level. And the best way to vote at your local level is not to vote along party lines, because Democrats are not for Black people. Democrats are not for Black people. You have to study your candidates locally, right? So make sure that you read your local newspapers and study each candidate and make the right choices for you, because that's the start of all of this stuff, of how these people get in trouble, the consequences they face, and the consequences they get for killing Black people. Because racism ain't gonna stop. It just is what it is. RashadMilligan.com. You can follow me on Twitter at Kennedy Carter Stan #1.
That's such a great point, about local journalism, because so much of what we have seen, even with all of these protests, it hasn't necessarily been, like New York Times and Washington Post and USA Today. It's been reporters at the local level that have really been, bringing us the real meat and potatoes of all of this. So shout out to all of the local reporters, whether they be news, sports, everybody on the ground, really, getting in the thick of things. Akeem Balaam, Twitter Gram is AKIEMBAILUM. Also check me out Beyond the W and Prep Girls Hoops. Check it out. See ya later. Peace, y'all, and love.
Y'all must thought that I was gonna whisper the whole time.
Mistress, diamonds they wear like go fishing. Y'all don't want friends, I want Audis. I don't want cars, I want Rarries. I don't want